10K day this Friday. I don't know if you guys are aware of, but it's a huge deal for our volleyball program. They're looking to set an attendance record for an NCAA volleyball match in our state. So the goal is to get 10,000 fans this Friday over to Stegman. We're playing South Carolina in the SEC home opener. Admission is free, and the match starts around 7 p.m. So we'll be going over to the hotel for our deal, and we may swing by there. But gates open at 6. The match starts at 7, and all fans are encouraged to wear black. So the hope is we'll get 10,000 fans to set that record. And I know our volleyball program has taken off and done some really good things. So I encourage everybody to be there for that. The other note is we'll have the green ribbons on the back of our helmets this week in recognition of Tyler Holinsky, suicide prevention and mental health. So we'll be wearing the green ribbon decals on the back of our helmets in honoring his memory. And then with that, I'll move it on to Mississippi State.
Start with questions.
Kirby, notice some of the kickoffs you have landing about the 1 and 2. Are you kicking it short to cover, or would you prefer to kick out the back of the end zone?
No, I always prefer to kick it out of the back of the end zone. But I mean, our kicker's done a good job of getting great hang time, and we've got to continue to improve on that. But he's doing the best job he can.
Kirby, Mississippi State lost a veteran quarterback early in the year, been rolling with a younger guy. What have been your impressions of Van Buren in the time he's actually played?
Yeah, I tell you, he got thrown into the fire quick. I mean, in the middle of an SEC game to have to go in and play, and then turn around the next week and go to Texas. I mean, that was two really tough games. He's a tremendous athlete. I think they've allowed him to do some things that he's really good at, and they're mixing the other quarterback in with quarterback run. So they both are capable runners, but they bring Chris in and do more stuff with him. And you know, I got a lot of respect for Jeff Levy and his offense and what he's done and where he's been. The people he's worked for in his career are really good offensive coaches. So they're hard to defend because they space you out, they spread you out, they tempo you, they count your numbers in the box. I mean, they're almost always going to be right in terms of what they run. You got to beat the man in front of you to beat him. You got to outwork the guy to win two gaps a lot of times because it's hard the way they play. And they got really good backs.
Hey, Kirby, I was gonna ask what they did offensively. Just answer that question. I'm gonna ask about some of the younger guys. I remember at the beginning of the year you said that you had to coach up the bottom of the roster in terms of some of the less experienced guys. Where are you at in that process, and who are some of those younger guys that you got a chance to see a little bit of last week?
Well, I don't know last week that we got to see any of those guys in terms of playing time. I mean, if you're referencing playing time or practice time, I don't know. Chris Cole played a little more significant role because of Smiles' injury. So Chris Cole has had to play a little bit more. Quentin is taking a bigger role in special teams. KJ started on a couple units that really helped us. Justin Williams got to play on some special teams. But, I mean, I can mention all those kids in practice because in practice they're getting better. You know, we take a considerable amount of our reps and share them with young players because we want to see them develop. We told them when we brought them here we would develop them and get them better. And sometimes kids only think that means in the game, but you get to go against R1s if you're a 2 or a 3 every day. So you play an SEC quality opponent every day you go out there, and we're hoping those guys continue to get better.
Coach, you had said afterwards on Saturday that you guys were close to cutting it loose. What does cutting it loose look like to you when you evaluate that?
Play with no anxiety, play with no fear of what might happen, execute at a high level, not be, don't be entrapped by the weather, like play above all that, cut it loose, and you earn the right to do that by what you do during the week, and I thought we earned the right to do that in the game, and at times we did, at times we didn't.
After the game Saturday, you expressed some disappointment in the fan engagement at the game, and particularly at the end. Can you expound on that a little bit, but kind of what your expectation is and kind of the give and take between fans and the team providing entertainment, I guess?
Yeah, I think I said what I said and stand on what I said, and feel that it could have been better. But, my job is to coach the football team. and I'm gonna do the best I can in my power. And I've been in some really good places where, you know, there's times that you create a monster, whether it was when I was at FSU, when I was at Alabama, and you have to appreciate that, and you have to create home field advantages. And, you know, we've had coaches tell us that come here and play that it was the best environment they played in the entire year. But I didn't think that was Saturday, and I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. But again, my concern is with Mississippi State, not the other. I trust the people that are in charge of it to help it. I trust our fans.
Kirby, do you have an update on Christian Miller and Jared Wilson in terms of where they are with their injuries, and you know, do you think they might go to play Saturday?
Yeah, I hope they will be able to. We'll find out today.
Yeah, I guess following up on Chip's question, is there anything you think the team can do to help provide a better fan experience or better, I guess, juice for those home games, or is it just something that's game day ops, you know, other things that don't pertain especially to football?
Well, if you take pride in your performance, which I hope our team takes pride in their performance each week, then you worry about what you can control. And our players, you know, have an opponent to play, and we're trying to make it hard on the opponent to play in our environment. And, you know, just simple ask question, did we make it hard on them to play in that game? I don't know. But the pride and performance that our fans take, that our programming takes, that our Josh Brooks and his staff take, and our players take, it's a collective effort.
Yeah, you mentioned, you know, cutting it loose, not playing with anxiety. I guess how much have you seen with that on the offense, particularly Carson, and how hard is that for a quarterback to, I guess, not be afraid of making a big mistake in a big moment?
Yeah, I don't reference Carson in that. Carson's, I mean, you start for a year in the SEC and play in the games he's played in. I'm not referencing Carson with that. I never directly said him, and don't think that he's played that way. I think Carson is in a good headspace. He's continued to get better. Has nothing to do with him. Probably some other positions that we have younger players at. Sometimes they play with a lot of anxiety.
You mentioned Smiles' injury, saw he was on crutches and had a boot. What are the specifics for that injury?
We hope to get him back soon.
Coach, we heard Trevor Etienne talk about his relationship with you. Can you just talk about the impact he's having right now coming in and his performance Saturday?
Yeah, I thought he performed really well Saturday. He made some things happen with nothing there, and then had a couple that I thought maybe should have got more on. That he's, you know, one step away and from breaking one open and using his quickness. He's got really good open field skills to make people miss, and I think that's something that we've needed around here, is like a guy that can go make people miss in open spaces. And he's a really good receiver out of the backfield, and more important than all that, he's one of our best leaders. He holds people accountable. He's a good kid. I mean, and I appreciate the way he's come into our team and bought into the culture that we have here.
Yeah, Coach, when we talked to Carson on Saturday, he said that you guys prepared for or saw Auburn playing a lot of man on tape, and then they're rushing 3, dropping 8, providing a different look. When that happens, when you're preparing for something, a defense gives you something else. What does the adjustment sound like and look like on the headset from the coaching staff?
Well, we drop 3 and rush. I mean, we rush 3 and drop 8 on our defense. So it's not something that when we go against each other we don't see. You know, we see everything from our defense every week. We don't go out there and say, okay, we're only working on this for Auburn. No, they might play man, but then they might play zone. They also rush 3 and played man with 2 droppers, which is 8 guys dropping, but it's man free. So they did a little bit of both, and we continue to see that. You know, Kentucky did that, they did that, and then people max blitz. So if you're a good defense, you're not going to do the same thing over and over, right? So you pitch to people, especially somebody like Carson. You want to give him different looks. Our answers are within the route tree. I mean, we call a play. There's this portion of the play is for this coverage. This portion of the play is for this coverage, and Carson usually knows where to go with that.
Kirby, is there a balance between trying to win the game you have right in front of you, but also trying to do some things that will help you? Like, for instance, if you want to establish the run, and you know maybe it's not the best thing to do in that game all the time, but it's something that you feel like you need to do for you to be a better team. Is there a balance you have to try to have there?
I've never thought of it that way, Seth. I look at it as win the game and do what you have to do in practice. So if I really felt strongly that we needed to improve the passing game or improve the running game or I don't really know what you're getting at with which part we're trying to improve in game. I would do it in practice periods. I would say, hey guys, we got to do more of this because this is our struggles. We got to load the box and run against it. Well, I don't want to do that. We got to throw the ball when we can throw the ball. I mean, I'm very pleased with where we are in terms of it. We've played some really good teams, especially when you look at some of the defensive statistics out there with Kentucky and Clemson, what they've done. So the most important thing is to get better, and I think we do that in practice better than going into a game where we don't know what's going to happen in a game, right? We don't know. I'm not into experimentation in games.
Yeah, you mentioned Chris Cole got some more action on Saturday. Just what have you seen in terms of his growth, and what is it about his skill set that makes him, I guess, a good fit for that third down package on defense?
Well, number one, he has tremendous pride in performance, and we rank that as one of the number one qualities. A lot of people rank size, speed, height, weight, and stars. He has great, he is self-aware and has great pride in performance, and that is a number one trait of a winner, of a good athlete, of guys that play as freshmen. And he has size, he can run, but he's really intelligent and he's very conscientious. So we've been very impressed with him, the way he's kind of grown up and gotten better, and he's still not there. I mean, it's like Raylan and CJ last year. They weren't ready for what they had to go do, but they had to go play. And we need him to keep getting better, and we need Justin to come along too.
You often speak on how difficult it is to win on the road in the SEC. I don't know that we've seen a more dramatic week with examples provided than this past week. This may tie into what you just said a few minutes ago about the importance of creating a home field advantage, but are there reasons that it's become more difficult than ever in the SEC to win on the road?
The margins are tighter. I don't think it has anything to do with the road or home. It's just the margins are tighter. Everybody's got, the ability to go get people's backups, and it's just look at the scores in the league. It's tighter than it's ever been. It's a really competitive league. We made it better by bringing more people in, and it really boils down to who can play the long game. And it's not about. I mean, it's hard to play on the road, yes, but it's not about that as much as it is. These teams are closer than most people realize.
Sure, we talked last week about Auburn's offense and their explosive nature. What did you think of how your secondary played on Saturday and just against that passing offense?
I thought we mixed it up well. Played some back shoulder balls, got some balls down, had some 50-50 balls. We got PIs on. Didn't come out of breaks in some spots real well, but we changed up coverages. We pitched to them. We were able to pressure them with our front. If you're going to make people one-dimensional, then they're going to throw it on them. And we didn't exactly make them one-dimensional from running it, so they had either-or downs a lot of times, and we got in some second longs and lost some of them. But I was pleased with the secondary because I think that Auburn's a good team. I think Peyton Moore's a good quarterback. I think they have good skill players.
Yeah, how has Raylan Wilson developed as becoming a more complete inside linebacker, and what does he still have to continue to work on to become a more and better complete linebacker?
Yeah, he's really intelligent. He works really hard. He's got great athleticism. I think he needs experience. And he's gaining that rapidly. He's still just a sophomore, and it seems like he's had to play more than your typical sophomore, but he's a very intelligent kid, and it takes a lot of pride.
Coach, over the years, you've used multiple running backs by committee for the group that you have now. What stands out most about them collectively, even though individually they do different things and bring different things to the table?
Yeah, I like the depth in the room. I like what Cash brings. I like what Nate brings. I like what Branson brings and what Trevor brings. I mean, we have four guys that really feel good about it. And the young kid, Chauncey, is doing some really good things. I mean, he's improved immensely since arrival here, and he's got great toughness, great character, and he's going to be a really good player. So Dwight Phillips has gotten better over on the scout team. A kid that had never played in an environment like this one, he's getting better. So I like that group as a whole. I think it's a really good group.
Yeah, Coach, Cole Spear made a few physical tackles on special teams this weekend. I'm curious if you could speak to that, and also it's a high school offensive football player coming out and looking really naturally as a tackler. Do you guys teach those guys how to do that, or is there like an onboarding process for them to go out and play special teams that well?
Yeah, from a litigation and insurance spot, we teach them all how to tackle because if a play happens and you got to go tackle somebody, we want them to understand their heads up, how they go about it. He played some growing up, and he's always been physical, and he's fast, and he's another guy that takes tremendous pride in his performance. He wants to do it right. It's important to him. Georgia's important to him, and I love the way he's playing right now. He plays with great toughness and without concern for his body. He plays reckless, and I like the way he gets after it on special teams. So he's been a great asset for us.
Time for one more question.
Getting back to the fans Saturday, was there a particular part of the game that you felt like the crowd wasn't giving you what you needed? And do you feel like your team has to give them more to cheer about, or is it just?
Yeah, I'm not like you're wanting to make this us against them, Mark. That's not really what this is about. We're a team, we're a unit, and I think it's okay to say how you feel and try to pull the family together and pull in the right direction. And you guys want to make it about, Kirby said this. I mean, that we're a team. We're a team. Like, let's do this together. Let's help each other, not make it about what he said and they said, and I'm not into that. We need to all be together. That's when I got hired here, it was all about pulling in the same direction, creating an atmosphere that's hard to play in. You know, you win these games at home, and maybe you take it for granted if you win so many games at home. But I know this, it's hard. These teams are going on the road all across the SEC. You make it hard on them by what you do and what you create. So it's not about a specific point in time. It's about us all pulling in the same direction.
Thanks, Coach.